The most important signal of all when it comes to the code you're writing and what you're building and everything is what's happening in production. What matters is what happens when the rubber hits the road, when the thing you're building meets users in the wild, right? Nothing else really matters. Everything else is speculation.
Welcome, everyone, to the AI Speedrun podcast. I'm here with Charity Majors, the CTO of Honeycomb. Welcome, Charity.
Thanks for having me.
I'm super excited. We're going to get started with just the most general question, which is, okay, it's June 2025. When you think, how much impact has AI had on the velocity of your engineering team? From 1 to 5, where would you rate it?
I'll move it to a 2. I think whenever you're learning a new technology, you invest some amount of time just like exploring it, I heard from one of our teams recently that on the front end that they think that some parts of the ideation, scoping, delivery process have gotten like up to 50% faster. And I was like, yay! And also, this is the first sign of this that I've heard, because I think we're still very much in the investment phase in many parts of the company. But when some of the engineering team once told me there are many engineering teams on Honeycomb, right? And they're all like, we have database engineers who are working on a storage engine. It has not transformed their velocity, and nor should it, right? Because it's a very conservative part of the code base. But the closer you get to like front end interfaces and stuff, it's getting there. But honestly, I think that more than transforming our team's velocity, I think it's made us able to try more things faster. So when it comes to speed, the absolute most important thing is making sure you're working on the right things, right? It doesn't matter how fast you're going if you weren't working on things that really change your users' lives. So yeah, it hasn't transformed our team's velocity. It's made us a little slower in some places, a little faster in others. But I have more confidence that we're working on the right things now.
How are you trying new things faster?
Because it's so good at just to like, our designers can, do code prototypes instead of just like, it's you can the ideation phase when you're throwing a lot of code away anyway has gotten a lot faster.
That's so cool. Our designers use it similarly. And actually what they found, it was very humbling. We have a very senior team of designers. And what they found is giving like a new feature prompt to like V0 or to Lovable. Actually, those platforms come up with a lot of niceties that they like maybe wouldn't have thought of until they'd seen it live. Like, oh, we need a great hover state, or like the hover state should be like this, which has been awesome. Okay, my second question for you. To what extent has AI changed what skills you're hiring for on the engineering team?
It hasn't really changed what engineering skills we hire for, because we have never really been the kind of company that hires for specific tooling knowledge. We've always indexed really heavily on communication. We're an all remote, all distributed team. And so our interviews, yes, we ask someone to do like an hour-long take-home coding thing, but then the real interview is the code review that we have a meeting with two of their people who would be their peers, and we ask them to talk us through the decisions that they made, what they did, why they did it, where they were pressed for time, what they would have done if they had more time, what the trade-offs were. And that's the actual interview, because if you can't, I believe that any engineer who can tell me what they want to do and why is more than capable of, generating the code, whether it's themselves or AI. And there are actually a lot of engineers out there who can write the code themselves, but can't actually talk you through. And we've always indexed really heavily on communication skills, because we think it's so important for the types of teams we want to build. And I think that's never been more true than when it comes to with AI. So yeah, I mean, we also, like everyone else in the world, we tried to hire a bunch of ML engineers, and then we're like, everybody, what we're able to pay them is so out of whack with what the market is valuing them. We're just, giving our own engineers the time to level up. We have a couple of experts in-house, and everyone else is learning the skills, and that's really kind of the way we roll anyway.
I love it. It also makes sense. It's like in this new world, the engineers are reviewers.
The engineers are reviewers.
They're reviewing AI generated codes. It's like, okay, well, if the job is to review code and then extend it, well, let's
Not
review it.
just reviewers, but yes, engineers are definitely reviewers.
What I love about that is like at least we find like when you bring in engineers who are really great communicators, they make everyone else in the company better. Like
Oh
they make the
yeah.
engineering team better, and then they also make marketing and sales and
Communication is the fundamental building block of persuasion, right? And you really want your engineers to not just be code monkeys, but be great communicators and persuaders. And like, if you are a very technical company, I feel like it's so essential.
yeah, yeah, 100%. How different, given everything happening in AI, do you think SRE will look in five
Oh
years?
boy. Even without AI, I think that if you had asked me this 5 years ago, I think this would have been a tough question to answer. I really feel like the world of software is bifurcating into disposable software, stuff that nobody really understands or expects or hopes to understand. If you don't like it, you dispose of it and you generate 10,000 more. And the software that runs the world, where from a
Hmm.
liability and risk perspective, somebody's got to fucking understand it, right? You got your transactions, somebody's got to be able to figure out where that money went, right? You can't just throw it away and try again, right? Your delivery companies, your packages, somebody's got to be able to understand it. And I think that, AI has a role to play in helping us understand our code as well. But I really feel like SREs, to me, like the biggest difference of SRE versus the rest of engineers is a lot of engineers get into tech because they enjoy tinkering and creating things. SREs enjoy tearing things down and breaking things. Like, I think it's kind of a truism that and I am one of these people, so I can say this about myself. You tell me about some cool new piece of technology, and I immediately am like, well, here's how it's going to break, and here's what I would do to like, here's they're the cynics of the engineering world, right? And I feel like I don't know the exact shape of it, but there is always going to be a place for cynics in the engineering world. people who people who are like, I see this beautiful idea of yours, but let's talk about what's going to happen when it crashes into reality.
I love this breakdown. The world is moving to a whole set of disposable software. It's like fast fashion for software, and then there are systems that just have to work.
And you have to iterate on them to make them work better and better. You don't want to throw them away and start from zero every time. I mean, can you imagine, right? Because the way that you make and making them better includes better shared understanding.
And the idea that before you could have disposable software is just wrong because it's cost prohibitive.
Yeah.
And so basically what you're saying is AI is giving rise to a whole set of new disposable software. And this software doesn't maybe need an SRE team managing. It's meant to be deleted when you don't need it
It
anymore.
needs specs. You iterate on the spec.
And SREs can build a whole host of disposable software for themselves. They have better tooling and they can be more effective.
Absolutely.
But in terms of what an SRE has to do, there's still an old world running here, and it's going to be running for a long time because just the world has to run.
I don't think that all software is trending towards being disposable. I think that in some ways it's like, I love your example of fast fashion, right? Like, there's a lot, it's going to open all these new use cases, right? For things that are just throwaway. But there's still stuff that is built for quality, still
Yeah,
things that are built to last. There are still techniques that we don't want to lose because they matter.
I love that. I have one last question for you. So, in the theme of thinking ahead, 5 years, how will things change in AI? When you think about your own product, how do you think it will look in 5 years from now? How different from what it looks now?
Engineers resent anything that takes them out of their main tool, whether that's a shell or an IDE. One of our hot theories is that SaaS interfaces are going to decline in users over the long run because people are going to be interacting with their agents, or it'll be in the IDE or the next generation of the IDE, right? And so, what does something like Honeycomb that really revolves around its usability and like MCPs are obviously a huge part of this new future. I don't know. It's really easy to get scared by this because so much of our expertise and our value and our differentiation has been, built around these workflows and stuff. But I think that like focusing on workflows is the way to stay sane because um, it's the surface that engineers feel the most and is most relevant to them. And so if you follow that sort of northern star, I think it'll be okay.
You're basically saying like the amount of context switching an engineer is going to do is going to dramatically decrease. And as long as you're moving in that direction, you're with the future.
The most important signal of all when it comes to the code you're writing and what you're building and everything is what's happening in production. It doesn't really matter. Specs are great, but specs are only matter so much. What matters is what happens when the rubber hits the road, when the thing you're building meets users in the wild, right? Nothing else really matters. Everything else is speculation.
Yeah. Charity, this was so fun. Thank you so much. Where can people find you, what you're building, your team online?
I am not as much on X these days. I am now on Blue Sky at charity.wtf. There we go. And you can find Honeycomb, honeycomb.io.
Awesome. Charity, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.